minutes late. I do apologize. And today we are going to talk about aging in place, how your loved one can stay home independently. For those who are just chiming in, comment down in the chat below and let me know where you are checking in from and if you have a loved one that is in need of home care. So before I get started, I will tell my brief story. My grandmother, who recently passed away October 1st of 2025, we had the honor, we as a family, to take care of my grandmother for about 3 years. We had never ever knew about or heard of home care, right? We knew about child care, but we never knew about home care. And so we found out when my grandmother was admitted to the hospital and she needed to prepare for coming home. And at that moment, we knew that she would need support, right? She would need support when she came home. She made it very clear that she did not want to go in a rehabilitation center at all, and I totally understood that. But what we had to think about in the beginning was, could we offer the kind of support at home? Initially, we could not because she needed to be able to be mobile, to kind of be independent at home. So she did go to rehab a few times. And let me say, I went there 3 times, and just about all 3 times, I think she went to 4. But nevertheless, every time I went there, I got there in the nick of time. One time she was unresponsive. I'm like, when did you check on my grandmother? Like her food was just sitting in front of her, like she was leaned over, her oxygen tank was on, but was it really on? Like, I'm like, when did you check on her? So, anyways, that was one time. The last time I know she was in Aldathar, Maryland. Not even like 24 hours she was there. And I went to go check on her. I'm so grateful they allowed morning hours because one of the challenges is when you go visit, they may not have early visitation. So she had early visitation that day. When I got there, I was like, hi, Nana. And she did not look well. And I asked her, like, check her vital signs. She was like, well, her vital signs are fine. I'm like, well, she doesn't look fine. She looks like she's having trouble breathing. And she was like, well, that's all with her condition. I'm like, no. So I spoke to the charge nurse and I said, get my grandmother out of here now. So I ended up calling the ambulance myself. I'm like, really? So, anyways, not to get into that, but my whole point is most seniors want to age in place, right? And so we did some research. I did some research. And the last rehab I went to was she was able to come home. She actually came home to live with us for about 45 or so days. We made sure that, thanks for joining. We made sure that my grandmother had her ramp, that we got a loaner from the county. So there are programs that you could actually, find. We got a loaner ramp from our county. I signed her up for the bus program to get her to her treatment appointments 3 days a week. We got free equipment from the county and or state programs. And let me tell you, no one's going to just volunteer the resources. I had to go online and look myself day and night, trying to find resources for my grandmother. I had to, research and step her treatments because there was like a miscommunication with the hospital, the treatment centers. It was just like so much, but we made it work. She got her medical hospital bed delivered. That's really, really good. And we just made it work. So the key thing is most seniors do want to age in place and be independent, and you can totally do that with support of the community, with the resources. We hired a non-medical home care agency to come in and help. The first 3 were not what we wanted, or 2 rather. But I know the first one, my grandma was like, Kiva, this is not going to work. So there are home care agencies that you can work with. We actually launched our home care agency in honor of my Nana, and we are based here in Maryland. And I'll give you 3 tips you can check for when you're looking for your home care agency. But I also want to say there's two types of care, right? You got non-medical home care, and then you have medical, no, it's home health. So home health is like when you have physical therapists come in, when you have occupational therapists come in, that is home health. So sometimes from my experience, even the case workers at the hospital get confused. I went to like two different meetings to explain to them we are asking for home health. And so we end up hiring our own personal agency to help my grandma with her non medical, like helping her getting dressed, helping her with her meal preparation, taking her to her medical appointments. So that is a difference. And sometimes, from my experience, do your research, the caseworker does not always know. So let me know in the chat if you have any loved ones that is currently looking for like home care. What has been your biggest challenge? I shared with you some of my challenges, but what has been one of your biggest challenges with finding home care with the home care agency? I do know that with whether you have home health, non-medical, or home care, sorry, home health or non-medical home care, there is a registered nurse that comes out no matter what to do an assessment. And for our agency or non-medical agencies with home care, that is to assess to ensure that they can care for your loved one, meaning taking them to errands, taking to social events, companion caregiver, taking out the trash, like things like that. So that was so helpful for my grandmother. So here are some tips. So write these down, what you want to look for in your agency when you decide to go with our agency here in Maryland, which is Premier Home Care Residential Service Agency. Or you can go with your one you found on your own. It's totally up to you, but I am recommending that you do your research because we did ours, and I'll share with you some tips. What we think is really important. Okay, what I think is really important. So number one, make sure that the agency is licensed in that state. Right? Make sure that the agency screens their employees, properly trained, because what we found is that my grandmother was using like a nebulizer, oxygen tank, and a chairlift. And now I'm not saying that we can't teach the agency how to use it, but there is a level of expectation, especially when they come out for the assessment of the nurse. So my aunt and I had to take time to teach the caregiver how to use the nebulizer, how to use the oxygen tank, how to use the BiPAP machine. So just ask those questions. How trained is your staff, right? Now, the chairlift, they're all a little bit different, so we don't mind helping with that.